start, and we will be watching Magnus Carlsen against Alireza Firouzja. 1c4 and already got some seconds. Bishop c7, bishop g2. What is the move we are recommending here, Peter?
c5.
c5, double exclamation mark.
But if you are a King's Indian player, you're not gonna go c5.
Never.
This is already
the thing is, when you're a player, you don't really care what white does. You just go knight f6, g6, bishop g7, castle.
Yeah, but I think that's one thing. If you are growing as a player, then finally you have to adjust.
Yeah.
That yes, it's true. I'm a King's Indian player, but if
d6,
they
d4.
try to trick me with some move orders, then I try to punish them for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, he's still fine. He gets his King's Indian.
Yeah, probably he's super happy with it. I just say that for future development, it's a logical step that later he will widen his repertoire and be able to play different things. This is the new stuff.
Really? I have no idea. So they played.
Yeah, d, bishop g5, bishop e6, and now queen...
Knight d2 or...
Yeah, knight d2, queen a4 was played, knight d2 with queen c1, maybe queen c1 immediately.
Yeah, I remember this knight d2. Yeah, the funny thing is that in Women's World Championship, in the final, in the playoff, 10 minutes plus some seconds, June got this position with colors reversed, with one tempo down, and still managed to win.
Wow.
So it's like she was playing white as black, so she didn't have castle yet, and somehow she...
Yeah, and this mysterious move, queen b8, is a typical move in this position, so don't be shocked.
Okay, Magnus is not impressed. Yeah, the point being that takes, knight d5, and there won't be any... Yeah, well, when white puts the knight on d5, there won't be fork on e7, which would be the case if the queen is on c8.
Yes.
So now if we get to this position once again, we'll say what do I mean. Knight d5, yeah, okay, black's to move.
Yeah, black to move. Bishop takes e6 is probably a threat. Not yet winning a pawn, but damaging this pawn structure, and then the knight feel ready to jump around. So probably removing the knight and somehow playing c6 looks natural, but how to do that? Easier said than done.
Yeah, that's interesting, because once again, in the long game, kind of in the long run, black is simply better. Two bishops, potential to go f5, e4, put the pawn on c6 to control the squares. Yeah, so if you give black the time to build up his position, he's of course very, very happy. The problem, however, is that he almost never in time to do so.
Yeah, Magnus is 1 minute ahead on the clock.
Rook d1. And then I've remembered the other idea in this position, that you go either knight e4 or knight b3, and then you go to c5, and this is a very, very unpleasant square for black.
Yeah, in general, I feel that this is a very unpleasant position to play in Blitz with black, because you might be okay, but you have to be super precise, and you have to solve some decisions while white's move come naturally.
Rook d8. Yeah, now with white you can play. You can play knight d5. You can actually go knight e4, I guess.
Yeah, knight d4.
Knight d to e4. Yeah.
Now Magnus is taking his time. He feels that this is a critical moment, because if he manages to play a couple of good moves here, black might be really in trouble.
Knight b3.
Yeah, I thought that then knight d4 is an option, but then you just play knight c5 anyway.
Yeah, play knight c5 anyway, and then I'm ready to drive this knight away with e2, e3, right? The knight c5 attacks the b7 pawn, attacks the bishop pawn e6. So I'm afraid black is just not in time.
Black seems to be in trouble, yeah.
Black is just not in time to keep all the squares under control. Knight d4 is played
anyway, knight c5.
I'm afraid that might be the case that you're not in time to move the bishop, but if you're not moving the bishop, the white first goes e3.
Exactly.
And then it's a disastrous position. Yeah, c6, e3, we attack the knight. And what do you do? Knight f5, knight e6 is...
strategically over.
Absolutely.
It's strategically over. But there is no move.
There is no other move, it seems.
Bishop g4, yeah, he has to try.
It's actually a good decision. It drops material, but at least it kind of disbalances the position.
But it's completely lost.
It's still completely lost.
Because the knight gets back to d3.
You have to take, and you have to play d3 once again.
Yeah, you have to give away
if it's good or bad, yeah, but you have to get rid of this pawn so that at least there is a hope to get to d4. Yeah, so queen b3 attacking the taking b7 after b6, he puts the knight on d3, totally safe. Yeah, I mean, this is the most pleasant move in this game.
Yeah,
Put the
then
knight on
just
d3.
queen c2, b4, and then you just secure some square with c5 or with b5 later on.
Essentially, it's like you have three minor pieces against the rook, because the bishop on g7, while being there, it can't really attack
And
anything.
Firouzja shaking his head. Yeah, he knows that this is just
C5.
over.
Okay, that's an elegant way. c5 and queen c4. Nimzovich would have been proud.
Well, Magnus is known to be elegant, yeah, given the chance.
Knight takes c5, bishop f8, and this bishop from f8. Oh, well, okay.
Still, black kind of hangs on, avoids immediate disaster, but the position is not better, and he's only 5 seconds on the clock, if I'm
b4.
seeing it right. And
Knight.
Magnus goes for it. It's mate. Knight e5. It's all.
No way to protect f7. Check. Queen f6. Bishop g7, knight f7, check, and queen e6. Yeah.
Yeah, knight
This is
f7,
how we
king
do it.
g8, queen e6, and why Magnus is shaking his head? Why is he shaking
I'm
his
not
head?
sure.
Because it's mate. Rook e8, knight h6, queen g8,
I
and knight
don't
f8.
believe that he doesn't know it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, simply that
Magnus,
he
I
was
mean,
kind of shocked that.
Come on. What's the problem?
What is happening?
What? Knight
No,
f7?
he got totally confused. I told you he got totally confused.
What's that? I mean, he was winning immediately. I mean, I believe we will have to show this. I believe we will have to show it. I mean, I still
What on
I still
earth?
cannot believe. I mean, what has happened? I mean,
Bothered here.
he's completely winning nevertheless, right?
Yeah, but now some rook e1 check. I don't know. I mean, it's he's
Okay,
taking
he still
on b8.
collects the material as like rook after rook after he wants to swap
Yeah,
the
it's
queens, and
over
he
now.
still wins. But that's really unbelievable what has happened.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable what has happened. I mean, we'll probably watch another game or two, because